Wow, you're so brown now, eh?
It's impossible not to have sweat all down your back when you carry a rucksack. Liquid light. Home of the gods. Hello, welcome to a new video here at the Ineffable Else. Thank you for joining me here next to this lovely stream. We have another month ahead of us in a new sign, this time in the sign of Cancer. This is a water sign, cardinal energy moving forward. This is water. You've asked for it, you've had this time of grounding, of earthing, of theorizing. This is the living, this is the actual experience of flow. What do you value in your surroundings? What can you easily cut out now? It's this kind of like baking cookies, and you cut the shapes that you need and you can discard the rest. Like, it's a very easy time to move things out the way that don't serve. And it's a very simple and beautiful time to connect with nature, connect with your true nature, connect with your body. There's a lot of opportunity for the body to be cleansed here. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we're in high summer. This is the solstice, so it comes around fast. Another solstice. Longest day of the year. This is abundance and ample time. There's a feeling of optimism that is present here. We're also looking at themes of the fourth house, of your home, of family, of where you come from, where your roots are. I'm surrounded here by the roots of all of these trees, and the nobbled and the gnarly and the lessons that get learnt. I myself am making a lot more peace with the past now. What were you carrying in the mind as a belief, which was then affecting you in terms of how you made decisions and how you went about your business? It's an easier place now to find the acceptance and the forgiveness for the things that we did, because we didn't know. You can use a lot of the same idioms on yourself, forgive them for they know not what they do. You didn't know what you were doing. What was your belief system, and were you having something heavy imposed upon you when you were young? Or did you make it up as you went along, like me, and came to some very strange conclusions that you allowed to rule your life? And this can normally be a strange amalgamation, a strange cocktail, a strange concoction that you've discovered through being in the world, being exposed to the world, or not being exposed to the world and having something oversimplified. So this is a lovely time to just breathe. And release. When it's this hot, as it is here, in Spain, it's currently 9 o'clock in the evening and it's 30 degrees. It was 38 earlier in the day, and you can't stress. It's absolutely imperative not to stress when it's this hot. And the seasons teach us these very vital lessons about how to acclimatize ourselves, and Cancer is about the climate and what our environment says about us. This is a wonderful thing to nip in the bud before Leo comes along, which is the lack of care for the other's opinion of you, because their opinion of you will also just be based on an amalgamation of things that they've also picked up along the way, and it won't be accurate. They're not clean mirrors. Most people are not clean mirrors at all, and that's actually a relief. That's a big release. That's something to allow us freedom to move and let go of. We don't know anyone's real backstory or where they're coming from, and external appearances can be deceiving. So you need to look at your own environment and say, does this suit my soul? These people suit my soul. And it's not a case of an external suiting of appearing a certain way. It's does this feel right within me, and therefore does it suit me? Is my diet suiting me? Is this suiting my values? Is this going hand in hand? Is there contradiction? Because contradiction in Cancer is a canker. It holds you back. And the smooth and the fluid and the things that make sense, and the cleanliness, the hygiene, and the cleaning of the intestines, and the cleaning of the soul, and cleaning of the mind, it's all very simple. It's all much more simple than we like to make it, with rules and regulations and shifting and moving into many different ways of being. Just simplify. And this doesn't mean go completely into chaos and lose your rhythm and lose your routine and lose your own personal rules. Stick by your rules. Stick by the rules that work for you, and allow them to be the bettering, for the bettering of your existence. We have a lot of water coming along here, lots of lovely trines being made with Neptune in Pisces. And how are you relating? If we're looking at the year as starting in Aries, this is our first time in the year we've had the light shone on the waters of our body. So what has been allowed to accumulate so far, and what would you like to release already? You have that permission. Oh, it's getting much lighter and much freer. And there is a shift in social media that's coming in terms of what it will mean, how it will be used in a way that is a safe place, a safe boundary for us, a safe way to make the algorithms and this whole system work for us instead of us working for them. So stop the scrolling. Tune in with, this is feminine, yes, feminine water energy, but this is also cardinal, it's moving forward. I like the feeling at this time of making myself just keep moving, keep doing, keep making mistakes, keep allowing things to come up, and look at them objectively. Look at them in terms of, what have I learnt from this? If we judge our past as being something very attached to us, we will never accept it and forgive it. And for me, there was a period of it's all meant to be, and it got to a point where there was too much acceptance of absolutely anything happening to me, with no boundaries, with no morals, is the end result of that. When you just say yes, you end up with no morals. So it's moving in a way which is gentle and subtle, and only for your own sake. Do you know, I think the thing we're not getting with social media is the deeper motivation why we want to share ourselves is this feeling of, believe it or not, under the surface, it isn't competitive. It is a case of we all want everybody to rise together, because we know this is a relay race. We know that we're in this together. We know that this isn't something you just do on your own and you get to the finish line. No. We have to all be in this together. And the sharing on social media is this, look, this is my best self. This is my contribution. This is what I'm doing to get there. And I hope that this is what others can assimilate to get to this place. And we have it all muddled on its head to the point where it's just a lie that is the thing that's put out there. And the deeper day-to-day stuff doesn't look like that, when really it should be very much the day-to-day is that, and then the pictures, the sharing, that is just a fragment within the day. It's just a tiny little section of a very true and real existence that looks that way, that feels that way. I'm encouraging everyone to really go into their sun sign, as we are going to be entering into Leo, and just prep yourself in terms of, who am I? How do I embody my element? Strip it down to the element and look at how the rest of your chart either contradicts or works with this element, with this energy, and try to to bring that up to its highest form. I myself am doing that with my fire, and seeing examples. There are so many examples of fire signs, Aries in particular, in actors that we put up on the pedestal, and I will be doing an analysis on that, because it's something that just, I have this urge and it needs to come out. There's something that I need to say about that, and it's very intriguing to follow with these things in a state of play. Do you know how easy it is to learn something if it's done in play, as opposed to something that's rigorously tried to be drummed into us? So try and make a game of everything, a play of everything, a play of exercise, a game, a kind of, it's never about beating something, it's about surprising yourself. Like, really date yourself, like take yourself on a date. And Cancer, of course, is the bubble bath. It is the time to shower yourself with gifts and shower yourself with love and self-love, and that's so beautiful. And likewise, surprise yourself like you would on a date night with yourself. Surprise yourself with gifts that you didn't know you had. Surprise yourself with muscles that you didn't know you could cultivate. Surprise yourself with setting up small targets. I'm loving it at the moment, setting up achievable targets for the week that are inclusive of everything, that include exercise, reading, studying, learning a new thing, as well as yoga and meditation, and having this kind of pie chart of balanced things. And this isn't a case of like, well, if I just tick all my boxes, I'll feel better. But it does let you observe yourself improving, and one week you may set yourself this target, and then you can just see how easy it is to expand that. And it's really like a muscle in all of these cases. It's a muscle that you train, and it becomes easier and easier and easier, and less of a struggle than trying to achieve this final goal post at the end. It's just surprising yourself with the little things every single day, and really giving yourself a nice pat on the back, and not deceiving yourself, not living in self-deception, and not allowing yourself to, don't kid yourself when you are not meeting those targets you've set yourself. And it's the way we are in relationship with each other oftentimes is very deceptive. Well, don't be deceptive with your own self. And it's good to look at your page, and you can also write negative things down and tick them off. How many times a week have you done something that you wish you weren't doing? And really be honest with yourself, and keep a list of this, so you can look back. And then if you have some kind of health problem crop up again, how many times do we go to the doctor and we might lie or not be very, very brutally honest in either direction? Either we're too harsh or we go too easy on ourselves. But if we can just have something in front of us that's very objective, very scrupulous, and it's the kindest thing, it's being that true doctor to ourselves. If we're going to self-medicate, I don't mean by taking anything external, I mean by doing the right things, alleviating the wrong things. It's all there. It really does surprise me how the human body can be so resilient and so just so receptive. You just give it a little and it jumps back. It really wants to bounce back. It's even harder with the mind than it is with the body. And of course, Cancer is then drawing us to the emotional body, and half the time we're chaos in the head, we're chaos in the body, because we've got unprocessed emotions we don't want to feel. It's the time to let it flow, let the tears out, let yourself be peaceful. What's your face like? Do you have a resting, sinister face? Do you have a resting face which is screwed up and tight, and just there are muscles working that shouldn't be working, doing all sorts of strange things, and then down the line we wonder why we have wrinkles? It's not just how we pose for a camera. Maybe that's why people need to take so many selfies a day, to remind themselves to look nice. The filters then, of course, take away that responsibility to have a smile. It's a beautiful thing, the Japanese say, to keep your natural smile, like really keep it in place. And I've heard a lot recently justifying a lot of external things, a lot of surgeries of any kind, cosmetic surgery, internal surgery, invasive surgery, non-invasive light surgery, and so many of these times I just think if it could just really be allowed to work its way out through observation, through sitting with it, through knowing it's there, observing it, and realizing that this was brought on by our behaviors, by the things that we've done. And so often we just think, oh, I've been hit with this horrific sickness, and it's funny how at the same time we feel like, oh, I deserve this, I'm a terrible person, we also don't really accept the fact, no, I did create this through my mental haze, through my self-attack, through my bad habits. These are things which I've done to contribute to this. We so quickly jump to what is ultimately an excuse of, I'm a terrible person, I deserve this, or my life is shit, and all these. And it's horrible to hear this if you are really suffering, but it can be the bitter pill that is necessary to make you realize that you're not so special, you're not so bad, you're actually just as much of a champion as any extremely fit and healthy individual. I don't just mean physically, I mean the mental, happy people that are out there. Everyone is just as capable of getting to that place. We all have very different obstacles to get there, but I think there's something worth not focusing on the obstacles. It really depends where you are, because there's a shunning and a pushing it away, or redistributing the problem, the blame, onto somebody else, onto something much more minor, instead of dealing with the larger thing. But it can be as simple as just seeing it. We don't need to then sit in it. So to see what is going on, to see the patterns that have been played out, and then just know that you don't want to replicate them, to know that you don't want to contribute in that way, and have that there's just like an inner vision of yourself, this best version of yourself, which is peaceful. It's really at peace. It's not like happy all the time. It's just this stable, consistent. Consistent is a much better word. It's not stable, like it doesn't move. It's always moving, but it's this consistent throbbing. And we don't judge a single heartbeat as being wrong, out of step. Even if it's an irregular heartbeat, we don't pounce on ourselves for that. And so many times we make a small mistake and we let that then be a domino that then triggers another 10 mistakes. And instead of just making as many mistakes as need to happen, but just accepting them as they go, acknowledging them for what they are, acknowledging, don't want that in my life anymore, I'm not going to do that again. It's easy to then move forward and to have a much straighter path. Because ultimately, why do we want to waste time? Why do we want to go round and round in circles on things? And rumination, I heard that word again today. I used to use that a lot. I'm just in a rumination, I can't stop. The circle within my mind. And it's like, well, maybe don't look in the mind. Look elsewhere, do something else. It can be as simple as that, as picking up an instrument, as moving the body, going for a walk, as crippled as you may feel, just doing the smallest thing in one direction, and not bullying yourself if it takes you 10 times longer than another person to walk down the street. Just give yourself that little dose of reality to know that we are all coming from different places, different stages, but we are all capable of getting to a state of calm, a state of tranquility, which is attainable for everyone. And I know this because I've seen this, and I know this because I've seen this in people with terrible conditions, which really are not going to get physically better, but they're able to get there in their mind and have that kind of knowledge and knowing. Have you contemplated death? Anytime we get into a water sign, it is there for us. Have you contemplated death? Have you contemplated the afterlife? Have you contemplated where you would go and where you would like to go? And how much does this question that you may never have thought about, how much is it actually affecting every single moment of your life? It's making you nervous, it's making you doubtful, it's making you rush. And often it is those who are most distracted and most of the mundane world that are actually the ones most terrified of death, and really have never asked these questions, and as a result of never asking those questions, they can't sit still. And these are the addicts among us, these are the obsessive compulsives, these are everyone in between, you know? It's the unknown. How do you feel about the unknown? How do you feel about the things that you can't quite put in a neat box, can't quite put a label on? How is it controlling your surroundings? How is it controlling your joy? How is it controlling your experience of life? Sometimes it is good to not talk about things, not talk at things, but just waft. Let it waft over you. Let the experience of one thought consume you and move through you. And this is, I feel, the nature of the evening. I think that we've lost our evenings. We've lost the quiet time, the darkness. Artificial light has come in and stopped a very crucial part of the night when we want to keep going. The mind wants to keep going, but the light dissipates and disappears. This time of year, we're given more time for contemplation. The winter is a very inward focus. If we were doing this as nature intended, we would spend a lot of time in the dark contemplating our internal self. This is the external time to really be contemplating nature, contemplating the little creatures. My parents' house, a baby crow came inside. No, a baby blackbird came inside their living room, just staring at them. I've been watching the rabbits here, the baby rabbits, and there's a little ginger one, and I just see it like in the middle of the path every day, and I think, ooh. And suddenly the attention is drawn away from the self and away from the center and into something of the collective realm. The thing at the moment, we still have Chiron in Aries. What is your Chiron doing? Chiron is the wounded healer. In Aries, this is about the self. And I have this wonderful debate going on within me at the moment between the extremely visible and active principle of Aries and then the very loose and ungraspable, unfathomable realm of Pisces. And how are we becoming okay with me inside of this whole realm, inside of this place where, yeah, I'm living matter and I come from this place and I have this name, but one day this is me, this dirt, this stuff I'm sitting on, this detritus, this is going to be me too. And actually it was before. And it's very interesting to know, where do you come from? Oh, I was born in London. Yeah, but where's your body come from? Oh, 7 years. Okay, what do you do every 7 years? Renew every single cell. Okay, so if you're renewing your cells every 7 years, well, what were you eating for the past 7 years and where did it come from? Is it very confusing where you come from physically? Where does your body actually originate? What kind of food have you been putting in your body? It's time to question your diet and to really feel into it. And it's very easy to just follow a dogma and say, I'm this label, I'm this diet, I'm this. Feel into what is actually, what makes sense for you. And then don't just feel it from an emotional perspective and what tastes good. Look at the end results. Look at your stress levels, look at your hormone levels, go and get your hormones tested and observe changes in your mood as a result. It's all about observation and being very scientific with ourselves and very experiential and experimental and unafraid of making these mistakes. If you think about the times that we do things when we're young, many of us, without any consideration, and the bounce back is immediate, it's very fast. We're incredibly resilient when we're young, and when we get older we are made to pay the consequences of different actions in a much more powerful way, in a much more taxing way. And this is a gift. This is a gift that we are now being, as we develop and grow older, we We do see the consequences much more vividly, much more clearly, and this is a gift that says, look, now's the time to stop. Many times we do something quite dark and devious, and we get away with it. How much of a gift is it actually that we don't get away with things? This is the thing with the law of karma. It manifests on all levels, and there has to be something in the way we're looking at forgiveness, and forgiveness as being this true acceptance to the point where we can look back on our past and we've not lost the memory. In fact, we develop and gain more access to our memories. This is the thing with when you actually forgive something, you know it even deeper and more accurately. But there isn't the same emotional cue, there isn't the same emotional trigger that comes with it. It's just the story, it's just the words. You don't really feel it as you anymore. It's like telling a story of someone else. And often this can happen too early on when we're younger due to disassociation. You know, we say, well, actually, I can just pretend that wasn't me and not feel into it. Feel into it, let it all come out, come up to the surface, cry it out, know that you were not responsible for it. Know that maybe you were responsible for it, accept that in both cases, and then it can just move through you and let it go. And in that way you'll be able to forgive yourself and forgive others. Then you've actually learnt the lesson and you can use it to help others and help not make similar mistakes in the future. I'm very excited about the things that we may pass on, the potentials we have to pass on to future generations. I think there will always be like a very, very low state of consciousness that will take the dregs of the development that we've made and just live off of that and not really progress and just be living kind of this energetic hand-to-mouth existence of just feeling it's a lack situation. And it's difficult to say because now the population is so much bigger. So by percentage, I think it will remain the same. But it will mean that there is a much greater opportunity for more of us to come towards a realization and to move the collective consciousness forward. I always speak about these. These are not the collective stages of the year. This is still your budding consciousness, and you are evolving into your own ego with Leo and who you want to be and present and refining that. Every year we get to chisel away and refine it down into something much more subtle and much more all-encompassing. But really look at what things are happening with different houses. And because my chart is flipped upside down, with a Virgo ascendant, this will happen, with Libra ascendant. And it means that you see these stages and you feel these stages in a more collective way. So it's like I feel it as like a collective ego transformation, but it's a very personal, individual thing. And Cancer is about making that foundation, making that emotional base, so that when you are brought up to the surface and shiny and for everyone to see, you're not going to be so easily triggered, and you don't have any. You know, how often does it? Cancer get lumped in as being unstable and not grounded and not capable of controlling its emotions. And actually it's the emotional master. This is the wonderful access that it has to these other places, and the fact that it cries doesn't make it weak. This is a fantastic time for us to cry, let it out. There's an abundance of emotion to flow this time of year, just as there's an abundance of food and things to eat. And because of the heat, we actually need less food. So it's interesting to strip these things back and to learn to say no. I love a Cancer for this. I love a Cancer who can just say no. It doesn't feel good. So I don't want that. No, that's something we can all learn from. So I think this is everything for this month. Solstice, high up in the sky for us all to see, and a beautiful time in the northern hemisphere in terms of the summer sun shining upon all of us. So thank you so much for being here. Go to the website. I've spruced it up as this time of year has me doing a bit of spring cleaning. And welcome to summer. This is the start of summer, solstice. Please contact me if you would like a reading. See www.ineffablelse.com. Thank you.